Shalom, giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashim Shai, the Wadi Yahweh Bahashim Shai for the days, minutes, hours leading to the return of the one who the world calls Jesus Christ, which his real name is Yahweh Shai. And we know that according to the scriptures, it's going to be race wars, rumors of wars, um, World War III, the breakdown of society, pushing of the mark of the beast, which is the RFID microchip, all leading to the return of the one who the world calls Jesus Christ, which his real name is Yahweh Shai, in these last days. Um, what I want to get into is this is actually my third video of the day. What I want to get into is, revenge and vengeance, because hey, existing through this life, and this is common to all men. There's times where situations happen, whether it's somebody at our workplace, somebody that we come across at the gym, um, wherever, that you guys don't see eye to eye. And certain times, you know, things get handled differently. It's all through the spirit. Certain times it ends up in fisticuffs, and you win. Certain times, it just ends up some in a bad taste. Or certain times they do you wrong, and you don't get to put pause on them. And we know how Esau is. A lot of these people, they're cowards. They don't want to. They have a situation, but don't want to meet up and solve it in fisticuffs or anything like that. They rather just try to scamper away. Um, and when situations like that arise, people do you wrong, things like that, lie, whatever it is, you got to give it to the Lord, and that is a big challenge. It's easier said than done, because as a human, as a man, as a woman, etc., you want to do the best to have things in your control. And to do that is take matters into your own hands. Oh, I could pull up. I could just do this and do that. Guess who could do whatever they need to your enemies, physically, mentally, spiritually, you know, with plagues of you know, things like that. Yeah, without having the risk of going to jail or anything like that. Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. And the Lord will do that for you. You just got to continue to pray on it and be patient, and that is a challenge. I will never say that's easy, because that's a challenge. Because when somebody does you wrong, you want revenge, and that's even in the scriptures. The scriptures talk about I forgot where, but yeah, if somebody even ends somebody accidentally, right? They're supposed they got to flee the city, because they're gonna have other people who want to spill their blood. Scriptures talk about, eye for eye, and things of that nature. Set your forehead stronger than theirs. So that's natural as a human to want to do something to somebody who did something to you, especially if you feel it was unjust. Because there's certain times you guys already, were on that timing. But for the most part, the brothers that are really in this faith, we live by Romans 12. I believe it's Romans 12 verse 18 or 16, but the scriptures talk about, if at all possible, live peaceably with all men. So we try to be peaceable. We try our best to make no enemies as we meander through the world. We don't go out of our way looking for trouble, looking for fights, trying to mean mug somebody down and trying to get drunk and just brawl and things like that. No, we try to live peaceably with everybody, treat everybody with the utmost respect. But there comes times where people just you know, just disrespect. And going by the scriptures and going by having that, old mindset, we see how, the mind goes when disrespected, because, we see how things are handled in ancient times, you know. But, yeah, you can't be locked up or dead or whatever, or in such a turmoil to where you can't be profitable or enjoy the fruits of the spirit, because you gotta move here and you gotta move there, because you fleeing this way, you try to, all day you just, instead of You being able to read, you being able to think, you being able to meditate on the scriptures, or you being able to, live life as a son, as a son of Yahweh, and Yahweh Shai, as a, you know, so yeah, it's a challenge, but you got to pray and you got to put curses on them. I remember I remember when the situation arose, and I saw what I could and couldn't do, because I rather just theoretically, um, handle it the old school way, meet up and yada yada. But hey, and maybe, and who knows, maybe how about Shemiel Shai will have it be delivered into my hands to where I won't be, but yeah, yeah. Um, but these things happen. These things arise, and this is First Kings verses chapter 11 verse 14. And the Lord stirred up an adversary unto Solomon, Hadad the Edomite. He was of the king's seed in Edom. So remember, man's goings are of the Lord. So if the person bumped into you or lied on you or lied to you or disrespected you, at the end of the day, man's goings are of the Lord. The Lord sent and ordained them to do that for whatever reason. Maybe he wanted, maybe you was too happy go lucky, and the Lord wanted to, that fire to come back at you, out of you. Maybe the Lord wanted you to get back into that spirit. Maybe the Lord wanted you to, whatever reason. So yeah, the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai will do that. He will stir up an adversary against you. And yeah, I didn't have I've reached I've yeah I I remember every adversary. I got a good memory. I remember everybody who has ever came into, especially for no reason. Because a lot of times, like I said, brothers, and I know myself in specific, try to treat everybody, every nation, every orientation, whatever it is, with the utmost kindness and respect. The same people who say they love everybody and they tolerate it, they're the biggest assholes. But coming from us, yeah, well, try my best to treat everybody with the utmost kindness and respect. But at times you don't get it back, and it's very, very offensive, very offensive. And the Lord stirred up an adversary unto Solomon, Hadad the Edomite. He was of the king's seed in Edom. So the Lord had stirred up a very big adversary against Solomon, right? For it came to pass when David was in Edom, and Joab, the captain of the host, was gone up to bury the slain after he had smitten every male in Edom. For 6 months did Joab remain there with all Israel, until he had cut off every male in Edom. That Hadad fled, he and certain Edomites of his father's servants with him, to go into Egypt, Hadad being yet a little child. Yeah, and you could read the rest of the chapter. I'm probably um, going to re go through the chapter. But again, these things happen. But the point is in the 14th verse that the Lord will at times stir up an adversary, and yeah, adversary was stir up on me, and I didn't expect it, because again, I'm leading with kindness, and hey, you know what happened happened. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, but that's why the Lord got curses, and that's why and sometimes the Lord just wants you to pray to Him and put up curses, because you know the adversary was stirred up through the spirit of probably how about Shimei Shah, brothers put up curses. Now we see some happen to the adversary. What's the first thing I'm going to do? Am I going to praise myself and my strength and my skills or whatever? No. The first thing I'm going to do, if I prayed to the Lord to handle my adversary for me, and my adversaries get handled, what's the first thing I'm going to do? Say the Wada Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai. Then the glory goes to the Lord and not to me and my strength and my might and my wit and my wisdom. You see how that works? So yeah, at times the Lord will stir up an adversary and have it in a situation to where you guys don't fight or you guys don't whatever, or they're protected by the system or whatever, and then have it so you put curses on the demon, and then it gets back to you, whether it's via social media, whether through the bird of the word, you overhear somebody talking whatever, you hear that they're in turmoil, they're in pain, they're in torments, and what's the first thing you do? You say, Tawada Yahweh Bahashim Shai. This is only the beginning of sorrows for him. you know? Romans 12, verse 19. Dearly beloved, matter of fact, oh no! Matter of fact, let me get this in, I believe it's the 18th verse. Perfect. Romans 12, verse 18. This is one of my favorite scriptures. This is one of my favorite scriptures because, yeah, you trying to do this is, it's just a solid way to be in the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Shai. It leaves less complications for yourself because remember, it's like the scriptures say, you want the word to be going through with free course. You ducking and dodging and moving and trying to slide through all these different enemies and making different enemies. It's going to be a challenge to be profitable. Going through all these hoops. So yeah, you want to try your best to live peaceably with all men, everybody, Esau, Elam, our own people. You want to try your best, but we know that's just not possible at times. People are demons. Romans 12, verse 18, if it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men. Right, so live peaceably with all men. The funny thing is they try to paint their different narratives, but this is really what the men of the Lord live by. We really, See the thing is not through the spirit of power Yahweh Hashem Shai, not I know for me personally, not too many people have bad things to say about me because I try my best to live peaceably with all men. But dearly beloved, avenge, and I'm sure it is for a lot of different brothers. You got a lot of different brothers where even Esau will give them a good report. Like, hey, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He did this and that. He did this and that. He helped my kids. He taught. He drove my drove whatchamacallit this whatever. He's a great person. And that's how it's supposed to be. Romans 12, verse 19. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. Right. So you got to give it to Yahweh Bashim Shai, and this is not an easy feat to have somebody do something, and instead of you getting your revenge, how you want to get your revenge, or how you plan it in your head, to wait on a higher entity. But that's the best, most safest way to do it. But it's not easy because, yeah, at times you'll get a trigger. Absolutely. It may be somebody, mess with your car or whatever. At times you walk by and you see the car and it just you remember the person, you remember the situation, you remember the whatchamacallit, or somebody at the job. And every time you see him, or every time you drive by at the job, or every time you drive by a job with the same, a establishment with the same name or a similar cadence as that place, you get triggered. And you start thinking about it, and then you know what, I got to get this off my chest, and I got to go do something. So of course it's not easy, but you got to pound prayer, pray for faith to believe that Yahweh Bashim Shai will do these different things. Pray for the spirit of peace. Pray for the spirit of wiping your mind. Pray for the spirit of moving forward. This is a challenge. I know I'm getting challenged. Hebrews 10, verse 30. For we know him that hath said, vengeance belongeth to me, I will recompense, saith the Lord, and again the Lord shall judge his people. Right, so at the end of the day, vengeance belongs to Yahweh Bashim Shai. Now, it is possible that the Lord could deliver it to your hands. Who knows? The Lord could have the person, do something or whatever, and have you within your rights and within Esau's law to deliver judgments by your hands. Who knows? Or the Lord could do His thing, and then you just get the report. But just know, everybody who comes at the son the sons of the Heavenly Father who really try to move with peace, they're gonna be getting got. There's no ifs, ands, or buts around it. You just gotta have faith, man. But it's a challenge. It very much is a challenge. Um, yeah, yeah. It's hard. It's rough. You get triggered. It gets in your head. You sit. You eating pizza, and out of nowhere you just start thinking. You like, this mother. I can't believe I let that slide. Hey, it gets like that. But hey, that's what it is. I don't want to give all praise, honor, glory to Yahweh Shem Shah.